You know what, Batu? You should definitely, if you're able to, you should definitely send it to me so I can see it. I'm curious. I'm curious what like, it looks like now.
About dinosaurs. They're unstoppable. They're huge, covered in weapons. Nothing can touch them. Except that's not really how it worked. Dinosaurs got sick constantly. And when they got sick, they just stayed sick because there's no
Okay, I think that's a
dinosaur
good
hospital.
volume.
No antibiotics, not even a day off.
Nope.
Break a bone, hope it heals straight. Get an infection, well, you have that.
Well, you know what? That's another thing. That's that I was gonna like bring up while I was talking about it. Is like with dinosaurs, like you can't just like, you know, get injured and deal with it. Most of the time, getting injured means you're gonna die. You know what I mean? That's like almost guaranteed death right there.
That now forever, or until it kills you, whichever comes first. The worst part is that getting hurt wasn't optional. You're a several-ton animal walking around a world full of other several-ton animals who also have spikes and teeth and really bad attitudes. Injuries were basically scheduled into your week. Fight over food, you're getting bit.
Yeah,
Sip
see,
your
that's
water,
exactly what I
something's
was
gonna
talking
break.
about.
The wrong plant, cool, now you have worms living in your intestines and they're not paying rent. Modern animals have it a bit easier. A lion gets hurt, sometimes it heals, sometimes it gets lucky. Dinosaurs didn't get lucky. They got infections, and those infections had nowhere to go except deeper into the bone. Your body tries to fight back.
Oh, we
The
got
immune
into
system
the
does its
bone
own thing,
diseases
but immune
too.
systems back then were dealing with diseases that don't even exist
You sent it for
anymore.
later. Thank you,
Diseases
Batu.
so
I'll check
good at
it out.
killing dinosaurs that when dinosaurs died out, the diseases did too. They were specialists, and the business was good. So when I say dinosaurs got sick, I don't mean like a cold. I mean they got conditions that would kill them in months, slowly and painfully, while they were still trying to do all the normal dinosaur stuff. And speaking
Basically,
diseases,
all of the
let's start
worst
with one
diseases.
that would rot the dinosaur from the inside out. Let's talk about bone infections. Osteomyelitis, if you want the fancy term, but let's call it what
Of
it
course,
is.
we were
Your
gonna
skeleton is trying to decompose
go
while
into
you're still
bones
using
first.
it. This happens when bacteria gets into your bone. It could be from a bite, it could be from a cut that went way too deep. It could be from literally anything because the Mesozoic was not big on hygiene. The infection would begin small, a little sore spot. It would hurt to walk on. You as a dinosaur would probably ignore it because you're a dinosaur and you have things to do. But bacteria don't care
Got
about your
dinosaur
schedule.
things
They
to do.
eat, and they eat bone in the same way mold eats bread, slowly and thoroughly, turning solid
I don't
tissue
like that picture.
into mush. Your body would try to walk it off. It
I
would
don't-
start to build new
okay.
bone around the infection.
We all know I love fuzzy things. And for that reason, mold is such an odd thing to me, and I kind of it's like it's like if you see somebody touch their eye. Like I have the same reaction to seeing mold. Like especially the fuzzy mold because it's just like it's like a sensitive spot for me, you know what I mean?
To contain it, which sounds great until you realize the bacteria are now trapped inside your skeleton with nowhere to go. So they keep eating, and your body keeps building walls. Eventually, you've got this cavity inside your leg bone that's filled with pus. This is fossilized pus, which
fucking
scientists have
cat
actually
guy.
found in a
Every
dinosaur's
time.
bone, sitting there for 75 million years. The pain from this is not like a headache. It's not even like breaking a bone. It's constant. It's deep. The kind of pain that doesn't let you sleep, doesn't let you eat properly. It doesn't let you think about anything else. One titanosaur had this so bad that the infection broke through the skin. It punched
I shouldn't
right
be laughing.
through. Now
This is
you're
a very
dinosaur with
serious
a hole in
video,
your
guys.
leg
We're
that's
watching a very
oozing and
serious
rotting and
educational
probably
video.
smells like death, because it is. You're partially dead, walking around. The scientists call this fossil the zombie dino. When they did the CT scans on this thing, they could see how the infection spread from deep inside the bone out to the surface. It did not stay put. It moved like
Wait,
it had plans.
hold up. There was a I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's an Adult Swim show with the dinosaurs. I want to say it was like, was it Primal? I don't know if it was Primal, but there was like an Adult Swim show with dinosaurs, and there was this one dino that I'm pretty sure this was the disease it had. Like based off of what he's describing so far, I'm pretty sure it's the disease it had because when I first saw it, I thought they were trying to do like a zombie dino thing. With like the a lot of the features it had, but it still seemed to like have some sort of conscious. So I don't know. It was
Inside the
weird.
bone out to
It
the
was a trippy
surface. It
episode.
did not stay put. It moved like it had plans. Infection could hit anywhere. Jawbones, spine, ribs. Wherever bacteria could reach, they could destroy. And there's this hadrosaur, a duck-billed dinosaur that had septic arthritis, and that's when infection gets into a joint. Both the bacteria and your immune system work together to destroy the cartilage between your bones. The joint swells up, fills with pus, and then the bones fuse together. This hadrosaur's elbow was completely locked. The bones were fused solid. It couldn't bend it, couldn't use it. It had this useless, painful limb
That would
attached to its
fucking
body,
suck.
and it lived with this for who knows how long. Weeks, months, walking around with one arm that didn't work and hurt every single day. In modern times, we have antibiotics. You get septic arthritis and they pump you full of drugs. They may be
Pretty
draining the
much.
joint and you probably recover. Back then, you get septic.
Basically, you getting septic arthritis is it's a very low chance that you're gonna get it to begin with, because most of the time we have enough preventative measures to prevent you from getting to septic, type of level. But even then, yeah, it's so simple. It's such a simple thing to to cure for us. But then you have the dinos. They don't know any better. Poor guys. It was Primal, you're sure? Yeah, I think, you know what? I think it was Primal. Because I remember it was specifically an Adult Swim animated show about this guy and, dinosaurs, basically. It was actually a pretty cool show. I liked it. But there were definitely some episodes that I was like,
Arthritis, you have
Oh my
septic
God.
arthritis forever until something bigger eats
Good
you
show,
or the
though.
infection spreads to your bloodstream and you die from sepsis. And the healing would make things worse sometimes. Your body would try to patch the damage, build extra bone around the injury, but it's building on top of the infection, so you would end up with these weird, lumpy, malformed bones that don't work right and they still hurt. Some dinosaur fossils that we found have bones so swollen and deformed from infection that you can't even tell what bone it was supposed to be. This is an amalgamation of your body's failed attempts to fix something that was never going to heal properly. You can see all of this in the fossils. The bone growth, the cavities, the weird texture where infection ate away at healthy tissue. These bones tell stories, and the stories are all bad. All of this was just from cuts and bites, regular injuries, the kind of stuff that happened daily. Not from some rare disease, not from bad luck, just from being alive in a world where every injury could kill you slowly. At least bacteria back then had the decency to kill a dinosaur. Parasites, on the other hand, wanted you alive, which is worse.
Oh my god. I love the way he entered the parasite segment. It's like, yeah, at least, bacteria, it'll kill you eventually. Parasites? Nah.
Trust me on this. Bacteria kills you. At least you're done. Parasites need you breathing, though, and walking around and finding food, because they're living on you, in you, and off of you. You're not a dinosaur anymore at this point. You're just a transportation service for bugs. And we're not talking about normal bugs here. We're talking about prehistoric
Little
bugs,
ladybug
which
nails.
means they're worse. Let's start with fleas. Fleas, they're small, annoying, and you can barely see them. Now make them 2 centimeters long, which is almost an inch. You can see them very clearly,
They
almost too clearly.
fleas?
These things were found in fossils from the Jurassic period in China about 165 million years ago, and they
Okay, that was one hell of a pause moment, but you're telling me there were prehistoric fleas? Why did nobody tell me about this?
are not cute because they've got saw-like mouth parts for cutting
I don't
through
like
thick
that.
dinosaur skin because regular poking wasn't enough apparently. Modern fleas were able to jump, but these fleas didn't jump. They just crawled on you with their little hooked legs and spines that dug into skin and feathers so that you couldn't shake them off. Picture this. You're covered in feathers or scales or whatever you've got going on as a dinosaur. And under there, in the warm, dark spaces between, there's hundreds of these things crawling and biting and drinking blood. You
I
can't
don't
reach
like
them.
this
You can't
segment.
scratch them all off. They're just there forever until they're full or you're dead. And they're drinking a lot of blood. These aren't tiny fleas taking tiny sips. These are big fleas taking big gulps. Enough to make you weak, to make you tired, to make you slow. Which is great news if you're a predator watching this happen to your food. But it's bad news if you're the dinosaur with the fleas. Ticks were around too.
Wait,
and we found
but-
them in amber before, still attached to dinosaur feathers, just hanging there for
Oh.
99 million years. The feather is
Damn.
tiny. The tick is not. It's grasping this little feather in its mouth, which means somewhere
Really?
there was a
They're
dinosaur
still
walking
holding
around
on?
with this thing stuck to its skin. Ticks don't just bite. They carry diseases, bacteria, and viruses. Weird blood parasites. They're basically needles full of problems.
The
Today,
temptation
ticks
to
often
skip this
spread
part
Lyme
is so
disease.
strong.
Back then, who knows?
The
It wasn't
temptation,
good. Some
oh my
ancient version
God.
of Lyme disease that we don't even have a name for. Getting bit by one tick is bad, but getting bit by dozens while you already have fleas and you're trying to find food and not die, well, that doesn't sound like a nice day. There's also lice, which are tiny biting insects that live in feathers
Yay,
and just munch away your
lice.
skin all day. And we have found
Yay.
these two in amber crawling around on dinosaur feathers, living their best life while the dinosaurs
These
slowly
poor
goes
fucking
insane from
dinosaurs.
all
I
the
feel
itching.
bad.
Birds today can die
I
from
had
lice.
no
They get
idea
too much
they
lice,
had,
they lose
like,
feathers, they get anemia, and they just
prehistoric
waste away.
lice
Dinosaurs probably had the
and
same problem,
ticks.
except they probably
That is
couldn't preen as well
insane.
as modern birds. So the lice would have just multiplied and ate more and made more lice. In this world, you're not dying fast. You're just uncomfortable and weak and losing blood to 1,000 tiny mouths. But wait, it gets worse, because those are just the outs.
I wonder if any of them T-Rexes got bit by the vegan lice or the vegan ticks. I don't know if there's such thing as a vegan tick. I would be surprised.
Inside parasites, because inside parasites had an even worse field day. Scientists have found fossilized dinosaur poop, which, you know, is weird, but they've looked inside of it under microscopes, and in that poop there's eggs. These cysts, they're little microscopic parasites that live in the dinosaur's guts. These are roundworms, flukes, amoebas, all the greatest hits. And these things survive by eating what you eat or eating you. Well, it really depends on the parasite. Roundworms would just hang out in your intestines, steal nutrients, and make you hungry all the time, but you're never going to gain weight because the worms are getting everything. Flukes are much worse. They burrow into organs,
both pretty bad.
liver, and lungs, wherever they want, really, causing bleeding, scarring, and blockages. Amoebas cause dysentery, which is a polite way of saying that you can't stop having diarrhea until you die from dehydration. Now imagine being a
that
huge
definitely
sauropod.
fucking
Your
sucks. That
intestines
you
are
basically died from diarrhea. These poor animals, I swear. There is a vegan tick. It makes you allergic to Oh, that's what you meant by... Oh, okay. I thought you meant the tick itself was vegan, and I'm like, I don't think that there's... I don't think ticks care about being vegan or not. But no, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, it makes you allergic to most meat. That would definitely suck for, like, a T-Rex, 100%. Like, one day you're just like, fuck, I can't eat that. It's like, well, I can't eat these leaves, so my body can't process that. Yeah, no, that would be, like, instant starvation. Well, not instant starvation, but that would be, almost a guaranteed starvation right there.
Massive. There's room for thousands of worms, maybe even millions. Some scientists think that these dinosaurs could have had tapeworms over 100 feet long living inside them. Yes, that is right. One worm just being 100 feet long. We have not found direct proof of that yet, but we also haven't found proof that it didn't happen. And based on how long tapeworms get in modern animals, it's probably true. Dinosaurs could be walking around with a worm the length of a blue worm inside of their guts,
that is an
taking
image.
its
What
food
the fuck kind of
and
image am I
so the
looking at
dinosaur
right
would
now?
eat to compensate, but the worm eats more. If you were the dinosaur, you would basically be working to feed this thing that's literally trying to kill you. And again, you cannot get rid of it. There is no medicine. There's no way to flush it out. It is just now your roommate. You're very lucky.
I think that, yeah, most likely they probably did reach that size, because I'm pretty sure, like, these parasites, most of the time, they kind of, like, you know, grow as long as they can. You know what I mean? So if you have all this intestine room and all of this food that's going in these intestines, I mean, I feel like at that point, you know, just like the mind, you know, we don't have proof it didn't, or it did happen, nor proof it didn't. Aliens. The aliens took the tapeworms. You know what? Maybe aliens eat the worms. Maybe aliens really like parasites, and that's why they probe humans. They actually probe them to see if they have any parasites, because parasites are very nutritious for them. I'm just saying, it's very possible that this could be, you know, this could happen. You know, maybe aliens are only interested in, like, in us for our parasites.
very unwelcome roommate. But the worst of them all were the blood
government made a deal with
parasites.
him.
In
I'm telling
2020,
you.
scientists found something incredible. They were looking at a titanosaur bone, one with an infection, and they decided to slice it.
You just find it to be a hell of an excuse because that could be used as a way to say aliens magic and dragons is real. To be honest, when I was younger, I was really coping that the like dragons existed. I'm like, well, they have all of these like books and everything talking about their anatomy and how they work and how they're able to breathe fire. How can they not be real? Oh. I still to this day wish that dragons were real, but unfortunately I do not have the same optimism. I do not have the same optimism that my younger self had. They are apparently depicted in multiple different cultures too. Yeah, exactly. That was another part of it. Is like they're like, you know, dragons are basically in every culture, right? That didn't even interact with each other during those time periods, but they had depiction of dragons. And then on top of that, like in modern day, we have all these books talking about how they would have like breathed their fire, how, you know, their anatomy would have been, why their anatomy was this way and why this way, and like what they would do with this. You know what I mean? It felt like legitimate, like they were talking about a legitimate animal. You know what I mean? That's how Boke learned what an OC is. Dragons. Basically, yeah. I'm like, fuck. Well, because if you, like, think about it. It's like, you have all of this effort going into talking about all these dragons. So you have, like, a little me that doesn't know any better going, well, of course they would be real. Why wouldn't they? No way somebody would go in this much depth for fictional, like, a fictional creature. And then you have modern me where it's like, or like, you know, not modern me, but you have like, you know, like current me, and it's like, poor sweet summer child. Poor sweet summer child.
Open and look at it under a microscope. Inside the bone's blood vessels, there were things. Tiny fossilized organisms, about 70 of them. These were blood parasites living in the dinosaur's bloodstream. And when the infection got bad, they got
Damn,
trapped
I
in the
had
bone
no
as
idea
it was
that
dying. These parasites were eating the blood cells, possibly
No
spreading the infection
wonder
and
all these
definitely
parasites we
making
have are
everything
so
worse.
bold.
Now think about that. The dinosaur that we talked about
That
earlier that had the
looks
infection in its leg,
fucking
well,
gnarly.
inside of that
What?
rotting leg, there were parasites multiplying in its blood. And to make things even worse, malaria probably existed back then too, or something close to it. We have found 100-million-year-old midges in amber. These are biting midges, and inside them, there's malaria-like parasites preserved. These midges were definitely biting dinosaurs, spreading these
Preserved?
parasites, causing fevers, weakness,
Like they're
and organ
alive?
damage. Modern malaria kills hundreds of thousands of people a year, and that's with medicine and hospitals. Back then, again, no medicine, no hospitals, no immunity because these diseases were all new, which
Yeah,
means
it
a malaria
is pretty
outbreak
bad.
in a dinosaur herd would have been devastating. The animals would have been too weak to move, too feverish to eat. They would have been just waiting around to die while bugs kept biting them. And again, none of this is rare. This is just the life of a dinosaur. Every dinosaur probably had parasites. Multiple kinds, in fact, working together
Oh,
to make
most
existence
likely, yeah.
miserable. If you're a dinosaur, you are not dying dramatically. You're not going out in a blaze of glory. Likely, you're just going to be itchy and tired and full of worms until something bigger eats you or you finally collapse. Now, you might be thinking, okay, we've just talked about herbivores mostly now. The predators were probably safe from all this, right? Well, no.
well.
Even being a T-Rex, you could not escape this, because being at the top does not save you. Let's talk about the T-Rex, the most famous dinosaur, the biggest predator of the late Cretaceous, 7 tons of muscle and teeth. But scientists keep finding them with holes in their jaws, not from fights, not from injuries, but from disease.
Holes in their
Specifically,
jaws?
throat disease, mouth disease, caused by a parasite called Trichomonas. You've probably never heard of it. Most people haven't, but it kills birds today. Usually these are pigeons.
I'm all like, what is giving giving them
parasite gets
like
in there and just starts eating
mouth and
tissue. It
throat
forms
disease.
These gross ulcers, necrotic spots, places where your flesh just dies and rots while you're still alive. In birds, it ends up blocking the throat. It makes swallowing painful and eventually impossible.
Oh,
we
wow.
think in the T-Rex it did the same.
I'm glad
thing.
that you blurred
we
that.
think this because we have found.
I can only imagine what that looks like when it's unblurred, let alone when it's blurred.
Different locations, but they all have the same problem. About 15% of all T-Rex skulls that we have looked at have these lesions. It's not rare. This is something that was a pattern. Parasite probably spread through eating. You would bite infected prey, you would get infected. You fight another T-Rex and bite their face, you both get infected. And once you have it, it's over. The ulcers
okay,
grow,
yeah,
your throat
that would
swells
make
up,
sense on how it would be
swallowing
spread
hurts,
too.
And then swallowing becomes impossible.
I feel like
you
that's
are
a
the
very
biggest predator
common
on
thing.
the planet, but you
Like, I feel like that's a very common way that a lot of these dinosaurs got infected by things, was simply, like,
can't kill anything.
eating and biting. You know what I mean? Because, like, open wounds mean, okay, well, folks' eyes are very shut. Not anymore. Oh, I don't know why they were very shut. Maybe because I was looking over here. Here, let me see. Let me move my tracking a little bit this way, so that way, there we go. Hopefully, I don't have any more shut eyes. But yeah, I feel like that's gonna be a very common way for them to get, like, diseases. Because, like, most diseases and most parasites, like, you know, like, they go through open wounds, they go through bloodstreams, they go through any open crevice that they can. So, like, yeah, like, biting definitely makes sense. Eating, 100%. Getting cut and scratched, I could definitely see that for most diseases. So, yeah, I mean, checks out, you know? Checks out.
And you can't eat anymore, so you starve.
Yeah, let me know if my model
Not
gets all
quickly,
buggy.
slowly, over weeks, maybe even months. You're still walking around, still trying, but the food just won't go down. Your throat is full of rotting tissue and swollen flesh and these parasites that won't stop multiplying. Other T-Rexes probably saw you getting weaker and skinnier. Maybe some of them attacked you because you couldn't fight back anymore. Or maybe you just laid down somewhere and waited to die. Because what else?
I mean, I probably would have fucking done that. Be like, fuck this life.
Taken out by something you can't even see. Something that lives
Like,
in
fuck
bird
that.
food
I'm not
today
doing
we
that.
barely think about it.
I'll
There's no
suffer
glory
and
in this.
die for a
No
little
dramatic
bit.
last stand. Just a slow fade of being hungry and unable to eat, watching yourself waste away. Sue, the most complete T-Rex ever found, had these lesions. This is not some random nobody T-Rex. This is the famous one, the one in the museum, and it died with holes in its mouth. And that's what apex predators had to deal with. Not just fighting other predators, but fighting microscopic parasites that could kill them just that easily. You don't get to be immune just because you're scary, because parasites don't care how big you are. And even if you survived all of that, your body
I don't think
probably
parasites
had
really
other
care
plans for
much
you,
about how
because,
you look.
fun fact, cancer is not
In general.
something that's new. It's old. Really old. Like dinosaur old. Because dinosaurs, they got bone cancer. Tumors, all of it. In 2020, scientists found a Centrosaurus with osteosarcoma, which is a bone cancer, the aggressive kind. This dinosaur's leg bone had this massive tumor growing in it. They did x-rays on the fossil and it looked identical to human bone cancer, with the same irregular growth pattern, the same invasive spread. The dinosaur likely
I
lived
wonder
with
what
this.
was
It
the
would have been
first
walking
case
around
of
on a leg that had
cancer then.
cancer
Well,
eating through it.
there's no way
Every
we would
step
know.
probably hurt. The bone was weak. It could have snapped at any time. And there's predators everywhere who can smell weakness. But this Centrosaurus didn't die alone. They found it in a bone bed with a whole herd, which means it kept up with everyone else, somehow on a cancerous leg, until a flood killed them all at once, which is the
That
only
is
reason it
insane.
survived long enough for the cancer to get that bad. Most dinosaurs with cancer probably got picked off way earlier by something with teeth. Other dinosaurs had different tumors, benign ones, which sounds better until you realize benign just means it doesn't spread. It still grows. One hadrosaur had a jaw tumor right on its face. They found this big swelling on its lower jaw that just kept growing. It couldn't remove it.
And kept
it
growing
couldn't treat it. It just
and
had to
growing.
walk around this thing on its face getting bigger. If it grew too much, it would have blocked the jaw from closing properly and made eating difficult and eventually impossible. There were also blood vessel tumors, bone disorders where regular bone gets replaced with fibrous tissue that doesn't work right. One hadrosaur had a disease called Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which is a very long name for your bones start to develop holes. They found cavities in this dinosaur's spine, not from infection, but from the disease itself, just eating away at the vertebrae from the inside. In humans, this disease is incredibly rare and treatable, but in dinosaurs it just happened, and it kept happening until the spine was full of weak spots. Living a long time stopped becoming an achievement. It became a liability, because the longer you live, the more time your body has to malfunction. Arthritis hit old
I was
dinosaurs
waiting for him
hard.
to say that one quote. The longer you live, or like what was it, like live long enough to see yourself become the villain or some shit like that? Like that quote? I genuinely thought that's where he was going with
Joints
it.
wore down, their cartilage would have disappeared, and bone would have started grinding on bone. One iguanodon we have found
Or like
had
live
arthritis
long
so
enough for
advanced
your
that its
bones
joints
to
were
fucking
polished
crack on
smooth
you and
from
give out,
growing
and you're
together. Every
you know, left
movement
behind
was
and
bone
eaten
scraping bone. There
by
was
some
no
scavengers.
cushioning, no pain relief, just constant grinding. Some dinosaurs got gout. Yes, gout. The thing people get from eating too much rich food. Tyrannosaurs got gout in their food. Their toe joints swelled up. They filled with urate crystals and turned into these grotesque lumps. Walking
Oh shit! I might have to keep that in mind when I finally get Uriel, because I don't have him yet. But soon. I will definitely try that when I get him though. But yeah, like, hold up. I love, you can't hear TTS? Oh, that's not good. Hold up. Let me fix that real quick. Oh. Can I replay that? History. Add to queue. Right? There we go. Can you hear it now? Brian spamming TTS every stream. The TTS voice got tired of it. I mean, I understand why Brian does it sometimes, because sometimes, like, you know, like, it's a really long thing that Brian wants to tell me. But, like, you know, it helps me not read it. Although, sometimes, yeah. Forced TTS labor. Yeah, can you hear it again? I'm assuming you can. Because I realized that, the TTS wasn't properly connected on this scene. But you know what? Actually, I might... you haven't heard it yet? Okay. You know what? That might be a good thing. I think I'm gonna keep TTS disabled on this scene. Hey Cord, do you think you could do me a huge favor? During videos. No, Brian, I'll refund you. 1 second. You might not hear it. No, you don't need to call out the truck, though. Okay. Core, really? Hey, Core, do you think you could pin that for me, please? Since, you decided so rudely to hit me with the truck, do you think you could pin that for me, please? Core assist. Okay, Brian, I'm gonna refund your TTS from this stream. You know what? I'm feeling really generous. I'm gonna refund, all of the TTS redeems. I was gonna refund all of the redeems, then I was looking at some of them, I'm like, oh, these kind of go back for a while. Maybe not that. But yeah, I will refund all of the TTS redeems. Only TTS redeems. If it actually goes through. Oh, you got it back? Okay, nice. Brian, enjoy it back. Enjoy it while you can. I'm going to temporarily disable the TTS. Where is it? There it is. Nice. Only for videos. As soon as we switch to games, the TTS will be back on. So heads up, Brian. Just during the videos. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So this guy, right? Like, the T-Rex basically got gout, which, you know, you eat too much rich food, right? So basically what I gathered is the T-Rex was quite literally suffering from success. That is what I'm gathering from this.
Joints swelled up, they filled with urate crystals and turned into these grotesque lumps. Walking would have hurt, running would have hurt, standing still probably would have hurt. And you're a predator. Your entire survival depends on moving fast and catching prey. Except now your feet hurt too much to run. There were birth defects too. Dinosaurs born with one arm shorter than the other, or fused vertebrae and curved spines. One Dilophosaurus
birth defects does make sense that it would happen then. I mean, birth defects happens now.
That's not something that heals. That's just how you are now. Forever. Good luck hunting. Good luck defending yourself. Your body could betray you in dozens of ways. Cancer, deformities, arthritis, gout, tumors, bone diseases with names nobody can pronounce. And none of it was fixable at the time. And all of this happened because of where they lived. Because the Mesozoic was humid. It was hot, wet, and sticky. The kind of weather where everything grows extremely fast, including plants, fungus, bacteria, and parasites, especially parasites. Warm climates are
parasites would
for disease.
love
Insects
humid
breed
weather.
faster, bacteria multiply quicker, fungi spread everywhere, and there's often no winter, no cold snap to kill anything off, no seasonal reset. Just endless warmth and moisture forever, which is great if you're a germ. It's terrible if you're anything else. There would have been swamps everywhere with shallow water, which is perfect for breeding mosquitoes, midges, and biting flies. Anything that wants to
all
blood
great
and
insects for carrying diseases.
These insects were active year-round. In modern climates, you would get a break. Winter comes, bugs die or hibernate, and diseases slow down. Not in the Mesozoic, though. Bug season never ended. Like I mentioned earlier, scientists have found ancient malaria parasites in 100-million-year-old amber inside midges, which means that those midges were biting dinosaurs and spreading that malaria. There's also ancient versions of leishmaniasis and trypanosomiasis. All of these blood parasites we still have today, except back then, nothing had immunity. First contact with a new disease is always the worst. There's no resistance and no genetic memory of how to fight it. So entire herds...
They say bitches? What? Okay, so I'm not the only one hearing like this stuff, right?
Parasites in 100-million-year-old amber inside midges, which means that those midges were biting dinosaurs and spreading them.
So no, not bitches, midges.
That malaria. There's also ancient versions of leishmaniasis and trypanosomiasis. All of these blood parasites we still have today, except back then, nothing had immunity. First contact with a new disease is always the worst. There's no resistance and no
100%.
genetic memory of how to fight it. So entire herds could get wiped out by something they had never encountered before. And dinosaurs lived in groups, big groups, dense populations, which is perfect for spreading contagious diseases. There was one sick hadrosaur in a herd of hundreds. Give it a week and now everyone's sick. The climate also meant fungal infections would have been thriving. If you ever heard about Dolly the sauropod that had the respiratory infection, well, that was probably from breathing in fungal spores. Fungi love damp environments, and the Mesozoic was nothing but a damp environment. Dead plants would have been rotting everywhere with stagnant water
Basically,
and humid air.
there's there would be almost no way to properly avoid diseases during this period of time. Like, this period of time basically would suck if you don't want to get, like, any diseases or parasites or anything like that. Your old bank is harder to get in contact than the fucking president? Holy shit. What, did you get in contact with the president?
Could have had spores in it. You get them in your lungs, congratulations. You now have a
I wouldn't doubt it, though.
Growing inside of your air sacs. Good luck breathing. The diseases dinosaurs faced were specialized too. They co-evolved with their hosts. They got really good at infecting dinosaurs specifically, which meant that they were probably more lethal than modern diseases. There was no need to hold back, no long-term evolutionary pressure to keep the host alive. Kill the host, Move to the next one. Repeat. When dinosaurs went extinct, a lot of these diseases went extinct too, because they were too specialized. They were too good at killing the dinosaurs, and too bad at infecting anything else. The giant fleas died out. They couldn't adapt to mammal fur or bird feathers in the same way.
I mean, fucking good thing they died out.
Parasites had nowhere to go. No new hosts, so they also disappeared. Some diseases survived by jumping to birds or crocodiles, because they were able to find new hosts and adapt. But the really nasty ones, the ones that were perfect at killing dinosaurs, they're gone. We'll never see them again, which is probably for the best. Because the Mesozoic was a disease factory. Everything about it made getting sick easier and surviving harder. Warm weather, high humidity, no winters, dense population, no immunity, no medicine. Every factor was working together to make sure diseases spread fast and killed dinosaurs.
I just thought that
you weren't fighting one or two.
A part of me thought that maybe diseases still wouldn't be that common. I didn't really take in consideration the weather, but I was also thinking, I'm like, well, if these dinosaurs are living through it, then they would have some form of immune system, right? That would protect them. Parasites is different. Parasites it's kind of fucked regardless of your immune system. But the bacteria and stuff, I didn't think they would have as hard of a time with bacteria, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe for a little bit, but I figured after a little bit they would kind of develop some form of immunity. I didn't realize it was that bad. Shit.
Diseases. You were fighting an entire ecosystem designed to make you sick, which makes you wonder about the end. Did disease help end the dinosaurs? Well, the asteroid killed the dinosaurs.
No.
That's been settled. That's not really up for debate. But there is something nobody talks about, and that's that dinosaurs were already struggling. Not from anything dramatic, but just from being sick constantly for millions of years. When the asteroid hit 66 million years ago, it did not find a thriving paradise full of healthy animals. It found populations that were already dealing with infections, parasites, cancers, respiratory diseases, and everything else that we've covered.
So it kind of wiped out
easier. You've got a herd of hadrosaurs.
A lot more.
Half of them have bone infections, a quarter have parasites, and a few have a throat disease.
That is kind of sad, though. I never really thought about this side of dinosaurs.
The plants die, the sun gets blocked out, and temperatures start to drop. A healthy population might have had a chance, but a sick one doesn't. Disease doesn't cause extinction by itself, but it definitely weakens things. It makes populations smaller. It makes them less able to handle change. Some scientists think that insect-borne diseases got worse towards the end of the Cretaceous.
Wait, what?
Insects. It makes populations smaller. It makes them less able to handle change. Some scientists think that insect-borne diseases got worse towards the end of the Cretaceous.
Insect-borne diseases. Okay, that makes sense.
Getting hammered by things they had never seen before. Add in climate shifts, volcanic activity, and environmental stress, and then the asteroid. Everything compounds on itself. A sick dinosaur can't migrate as fall when the environment changes. It can't compete for shrinking food sources. It can't recover from injuries as well.
It's basically a sitting duck at that point.
Thousands of species and millions of individuals, you get a collapse. Not from one thing, but from everything at once, stacking up and making it impossible to adapt fast enough. The asteroid
what did you think he said? Not important.
Visible, dramatic,
not important. These days we have tech to redirect or even destroy any asteroids coming towards Earth. Imagine if another hit before we had oh yeah. It would have been a whole reset. You know what? Maybe that would have been for the better though. If you think about it, maybe that would have been for the better. Catch us off of our high horse while Earth still had the chance. Bloody, sure, bloody, or wait, why did I add bloody in there? What the fuck? Sure, buddy, sure. I mean, I'm not wrong about that. It has nothing to do with the video.
Point at. But disease was probably there the whole time.
You'd probably be happy. Yeah, I'm like, maybe that would have been a good thing.
Generation. Extinction doesn't always need a big rock from space. Sometimes it just needs populations too sick to keep going. So what does any of this mean for us then? Well, dinosaurs weren't dumb. They survived for over 160 million years. Humans, in our modern form, have been around for maybe 300,000. Maybe a bit more if you consider older versions. We are not even close. Dinosaurs were not weak either. These were animals that could weigh more than trucks, that could bite through bone, that ruled every ecosystem on the planet, and they still lost. Not because they deserved it, not because they failed somehow, but because they lived in a world that was trying to kill them. And eventually, it succeeded. We like to think that we're different. We have medicine, hospitals, antibiotics, but all of that is recent. Very, very recent. Most of human history...
And on top of it, it is pointless to have it if most of us decide, you know, I don't wanna. And then just, you know, don't use it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of pointless to have all these advancements when most people choose not to use them. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's another factor we could talk about. Like, for example, the pandemic, right? It's like, hey, I mean, like, these masks may not stop you from getting sick, but if you are sick and you don't realize, it might stop somebody else from getting sick. And what do people do? I don't want to wear them. They fuck up my glasses. I don't want to. Or like with the anti-vaxxers, it's like, I don't want to take those vaccines. There's gonna be some government stuff in there. Bro, just take advantage of like the resources we have. Like, damn. This video definitely, I think he's definitely driving that point home.
History than we'd like to admit. I mean, just look at the last 100 years and how much the global population has boomed. Before we had all of these advancements that protected our health, we weren't able to produce as many babies that fast because so many people were dying. If you look at older human history, people died from infected cuts, from parasites, from diseases we don't even worry about anymore. We only got past that because
people would die from the common cold. That's another one.
Take those away and we're back to being dinosaurs, just smarter ones with the same problems. We would have infections that don't stop, parasites we can't remove, and diseases that we can't treat. The scary part isn't that dinosaurs faced these diseases. It's that most of these diseases are still here, just smaller, just weaker, just barely controlled. We didn't beat them. We just got better at holding them back. For now, dinosaurs had 160 million years. They dealt with everything nature could throw at them. They adapted, evolved, and survived until they couldn't anymore. The asteroid ended the dinosaurs, but disease made sure that they were already losing. And hopefully, we don't end up suffering the same fate. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to give it a like and comment down below.
I do like this video. This is a pretty solid video. I likes it. I'm gonna drop a subscribe too. You guys should as well. Here, let me put this video in here. There you go. That was a good video. I like that video. I am gonna wait for the ad before we play the next video though. Because, you know. Hello. This is the video we're all looking for. You know what I mean? This is a video where we're looking forward to. So I'm also gonna put this current video here. But yeah. And then I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna open this up. Hello. 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 I have gotten smarter about my little credit thingy up here. And by smarter, I mean I have